Step 1, sweat your onions and garlic. Try not to let them brown. As you see, some of my garlic pieces are brown, but that's okay. Step 2, add heavy whipping cream. As you can see, I'm not measuring. It depends on how much you want to make. But either way, the whipping cream, the heavy whipping cream that's in the pot is going to have to boil down to half of what it is right now. At this point, you want to go ahead and add some butter. In this size container, I'd say about 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter would suffice. Again, they're both going to boil down to about half. As you can see here, the cream is boiling down. You see the butter there. That's pretty much melted, but again, you want to boil down the original amount to about half, maybe a little bit lower, and that's going to cause it to become more of a thicker cream. Alright, so you can see that it is boiling down to about half, and you can tell that by the line on the outside. As you boil this down, strong reminder, please excuse the kid noises in the background. I'm holding my daughter right now. But you don't have to boil this, you don't have to have this on high heat either. You're not trying to burn the cream. You can put this on medium. You could put this on medium to medium low, and it should do the same thing. Again, you don't want to burn your cream, which you can, especially as it gets lower. It will start to stick to the bottom of the pan. But as you can see, as I move my spatula around in the pan and scrape the cream away, there's no residual mark there, which lets you know that it's not burning. But you should not have this on high. Once it boils down to about this point here, you want to go ahead and add your cheese. What cheese, you say? You can add Parmesan. Personally, I use the Parmesan Reggiano. Let me show you guys. All right, I finally have an opportunity to show you guys the thickness. I was holding my daughter there. Had to cut the scene and go put her down and hope that she wouldn't scream. She's in one of her moods today, and it's funny because I always find myself in this predicament where I'm trying to cook dinner and everybody, you know, is antsy, especially the kids. My husband isn't quite home from work yet, and I'm trying to do a video, you know, to show you guys how, you know, I make this food, and just it's very simple and simple recipes. But yeah, I don't know if you can tell how thick it's gotten. I haven't added any cheese to it yet, but you can see how thick it's become compared to what it was when I first put it in the pan. So that's right, it's done thickened up. So yeah, that's the consistency that you want. This is a very easy way to make basically any kind of base to any cream sauce that you want. It's a little hack in the kitchen, if you will. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add my cheese. Now when I add the cheese, it's gonna thicken up quite a bit. A good way to kind of, I guess, loosen it back up is just add a little bit more cream to it. So here you have the cheese that I use. In the upper left hand corner you see the Gruyere cheese. That is a very good cheese. It has very good flavor. Kind of hard to explain. It's borderline like American cheese, of course American white cheese, but it has a richer flavor. It's definitely more expensive, as well with your Parmigiano Reggiano. It has a more of a rich flavor and taste to it compared to just the regular Parmesan that you see in the store. It's been aged a lot longer, And normally this is in the Parmigiano Reggiano, or however you want to pronounce it. It's normally imported from overseas. So this one is definitely going to be pretty pricey in the store. I like to buy mine from either Sam's or Costco. It's a little cheaper. You get more for your bang for your buck. But these are the two cheeses that I will use or I typically use in my Alfredo sauce. Alright, so I've added my cheese and I'm just going to stir. Now this is especially important to make sure your heat is not too high during this time frame, because seriously it will burn, especially now that you've added the cheese. You want to stir this up, and you see how it's gotten even thicker. Another important rule of thumb is you always want to taste your sauce, or taste really any dish as you are preparing it, to make sure that the flavor is there. More than likely you will have to add a little bit of salt to this to give it more of a flavor. The cheese has salt in it, so you want to do that last. Don't go in flavoring without first tasting. Of course, don't reuse the spoon after you taste it. However, you need to taste it first, and then from there determine whether or not and how much cheese you need. So I'm going to reduce this down even more. As you can see, I have hit on like level 2, and this is a older electric stove. And this eye in particular is kind of funny, but hey, sometimes you gotta work with what you got. So that's what we're doing here. And yeah, so as you can see, it's super thick. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some more cream to this. You guys are probably wondering, like, what are the measurements? You know, how much do I add of this? I don't really measure the stuff that I cook. You know, I guess I've been doing it for some time, but you know, obviously you want to add a little bit and then mix it and see how it looks, see how thick it is and what consistency it is. And if it's still a little bit too thick for you, you want to add more. Now you need to remember as well that you will be adding your pasta noodles to this. Pasta normally has some type of what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't think of it now, but either way, pasta thickens up sauces. You know, some people traditionally they will use some of the pasta water to add to their sauce, and it adds thickness to it. So you definitely don't want this to be too thick. And voila, there you have it. It's loosened up a lot since I added some more cream to it. No, Carolina. Now we are going to chop up the grilled chicken that I grilled prior. And I don't need all of this. It's actually a pretty big piece here. So I will probably cut down the middle and cut it in pieces to add to my Alfredo. Then I will add my noodles, and then possibly add my broccoli here. So yeah, that's the way Carolina likes it. My husband doesn't mind it that way. It still tastes pretty good. So one pot meal. All right, so I have the chicken in there. And when I cook my chicken, especially like when I grill it in the oven for Alfredo, I always cook it right to the point where it's all like right there, almost done, and I take it out because it's going to cook some in the Alfredo sauce itself. And with chicken breast, you don't want it to be overly done. It will dry out, and it dries out. It cooks pretty easily and very fast. So I always cook mine like that before adding it. But yeah, this is how it looks. You can always test the consistency of your sauce by how it looks coming off the spoon. See that? I have the spoon parallel, and you still see a coating on the back. They call that nappe. That means that's sauce. You're good. So all you have to do now is add the noodles, and if you prefer to add the broccoli, you can add it.